Welcome back. Welcome to Tuesday's lesson. I hope you guys had a great 3-day weekend. Before I get started, though, I want to tell you a little bit of a funny story. So it's Saturday. I'm sitting around, my doorbell rings. So I go up to
We interrupt this lesson for today's important lesson objective. We interrupt this lesson for today's important lesson objective.
Can you believe that? Never in a million years thought that would happen, but more funny stories another time. Let's get started with today's lesson. Last week we were learning about addition and subtraction without using a calculator. Now we're going on to multiplication and division next week, but multiplication is what we're going to focus on this week. Starting off with one of our examples here, multiplication as repeated addition. So if we take a look at the screen, we can see we have rewrite as a multiplication sentence. So rather than having that problem of 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus another 4, we're just asked to rewrite this as a multiplication sentence. So the first thing I'm going to start off with is the number that I have written multiple times. So I have 4 written multiple times, so I'm going to change this first number here to a 4. And the second thing I'm going to multiply it by is how many times I see that 4. So I have a 4 once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 4s, so I'm going to put a 5 down right over here. So 4 times 5 is equal to 20. That's a much easier way of saying 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. Instead, we're just going to say 4 times 5. You could also write this an alternative way, and I'll put this in another color here, as 5 times 4. That's also equal to 20. When we're inputting things in, though, let's start with just doing it the regular way over here, because that's the first number we have is a 4. 5 of them, so I'm going to put that second. If you flip them around, not that big of a deal, but I think for submitting work to Schoology, it's going to be easier if we do 4 times 5. Let's go on to the next example. Before we do that, it's time for another bad joke. All right, so today's bad joke, I have this written down over here. Why do fish live in salt water? Because pepper makes them sneeze. All right, yeah, like I said, they're bad jokes. Next example, we have 5 plus 5 plus 5. So I'm going to rewrite this here. Since I have a 5 as my first number, I'm going to write that down as 5. And then I have 1, 2, 3 of them. So I'm going to make this a 5 times 3 is equal to 15. Simple as that. So now it's time for you to try one on your own. So here's the one you're going to be trying, so why don't you try that now? All right, and what you should have written down is a 7 for that first number, because I have a 7 here, series of them, and I have 1, 2, 3 of those. So 7 times 3 is equal to 21, and you're done. On to the next type of problem. So I'm starting off real easy. We're going to work and make them a little bit more challenging. So next set of problems is we're going to be multiplying 2-digit and 1-digit numbers, and we're going to do some regrouping in there. So here is the first problem I have for us, 59 times 6. So when we do this, we want to work with a number that's all the way over on the end. We want to do 9 times 6 first. So 9 times 6, I get an answer of 54. So I'm going to take this 4 and I'm going to put it on the bottom, and I'm going to carry my 5 over to the top. Then the next problem I'm going to work on is going to be the 6 times 5. And 6 times 5, I get an answer of 30. But I have to add this 5 onto it to where I get 35. So I'm going to put this 3 and the 5 down just like that. And I'm done. 354. I'm going to do another example before you try one on your own. But before I go to that next problem, it's time for another bad joke. All right, what do we got here now? What streets do ghosts haunt? Streets, ghosts, haunting, dead ends. Yeah. All right. Next example. So now I have 65 times 8. Did I just have that one? No, 59 times 6. Close enough. 65 times 8. So I'm going to start off with my 5 times 8. 5 times 8, I get an answer of 40. So I'm going to start by taking this 0 and putting it over on the bottom, right underneath the 5 and the 8. The 4 is going to come over to the side. So now I have 6 times 8. 6 times 8, I'm going to get an answer of 48. I'll put that one in red. But I have to take the 4 that I had before and add to it. So I have 48 plus 4, I get 8 and 4, I have 2, carry the 1, 1 and 4, I have a 5. So I'm going to put this 5 and the 2 right next to it, so I have an answer of 520. So let's have you try one on your own. It's 64 times 6, so why don't you try that now? And we're back. Let's start with the 4 times 6. 4 times 6 is 24. I'm then going to put the 4 underneath on the bottom here, and I'm going to carry the 2 up to the top. Next we have 6 times 6, and 6 times 6 I get an answer of 36, but I have to add the 2 that I had before, and when I do that, 6 and 2, I have 8. 3 brings this comes down, so I have 38, so I can put that 8 over here, and 3, so I have 384. All right, and the next type of example we're going to see is we're going to be multiplying by multiple digit numbers. So this is really just we're increasing, adding a few more digits over here. We're still going to be doing everything else we did before. So let's start with my 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. So I put my 16 down. This 6 is my last digit, so that's going to come right underneath that 4 and 4. I'm going to bring the 1 up to the top. I then have 4 times 2 is going to be 8. 8 plus that 1 gives me an answer of 9, so I can put a 9 right there. I'm then going to go on to do 4 times 8, which I get an answer of 32. So the 2 comes down right underneath the 8, and the 3 comes up to the top. Lastly, I'm going to be doing 4 times 1. 4 times 1, I get an answer of 4, and 4 plus the 3 gives me an answer of 7. So 7,296 is your answer. Before we go on to the next problem, though, time for our last bad joke of the day. Last bad joke of the day is, why do you tell actors to break a leg? Because every play has a cast. Yeah, that one wasn't too good. All right, so let's go into the next example instead. So I have 925 times 6. This one's a little bit easier because there's not a fourth number there. So let's start over with purple. 5 times 6, I get an answer of 30. So I'm going to take that last digit of a 0 and bring that down underneath my original 5. And I'm going to take the 3 and I'm going to bring it up onto the top. 6 times 2, I get an answer of 12. So I put that 12 down. 12 plus my 3, I get an answer of 15. So I'm going to take this 5 and I'm going to bring it down on the bottom. And I'm going to carry my 1 up onto the top. I then have 6 times 9, which we have an answer of 54. And if I take that 4, I still have to add that 1 that's up on the top here, so I add 1 to it and I get 55. So 55 is what's going to come down on the end. So I have an answer of 5,550. So last example, and I'm going to have you want to try this on your own first, so why don't you try that now. And moving on, we're going to go from 5 times 6. 5 times 6, we get an answer of 30. So I'm going to take this 0 and put it on the bottom. The 3 gets carried up onto the top. I then have 2 times 6. 2 times 6 is an answer of 12. But I have to add that 3 from before up on top. So 12 plus 3, I get an answer of 15. So the 5 comes underneath. And the 1 gets sent up to the top. And then I have 6 times 9. It's going to give me an answer of 54. Plus that 1 left over from the 15. So I'm going to add 1 to that. 1 gives me 5. 5 and nothing gives me 5. So I can have 55 here as well. So another 5,550. So those are all the examples for the types of problems that you're going to try today on today's assignment. To prove that you've watched this video, today's secret password is going to be pumpkin. So just enter pumpkin in for the password and that'll prove to me that you've watched this video. Again, if you have any questions or comments or concerns, anything you want to talk to me about, my office hours are posted over in the Schoology section, right on the right beginning there. Willing to work with you, willing to help you through any of these if you're having any questions, concerns, comments, whatever. If there's nothing else, I'll see you guys tomorrow.